Tony's Topics. Hey folks, what's happening? This is Tony with Tony's Topics. Now today what I want to talk about is basketball, particularly three teams that I'm personally going for to win the whole thing. Any of these three teams can win the whole thing. In fact, two of them play tonight. That's the Cavaliers, the Portland Trail Blazers, or the Clippers. Now, basically, I drafted with someone, and these are just the teams that I ended up with. But they're my first picks. They're my top picks. So the first team, the Cavaliers. Enough said. You got LeBron James. You've got Dion Waiters. You've got Kyrie Irving. You've got Tristan Thompson, and let's not forget Kevin Love. This setup is so beautiful. Not to mention the Russian coach David Blatt actually understands basketball. Now, at first, with the way the commentators were talking about it, it sounded like they were going to try and run Anderson Varejao as the center and maybe like a 36-minute player. But honestly, I was looking at Anderson Varejao stats, and he really is just an average center. So I was like, the more productive person is Tristan Thompson. I mean, really, that guy needs to be on the floor because you can treat Kevin Love like a center. I mean, number one, he can pull any center away from the basket because the man's got three-point shooting. He's, currently the third highest rebounder in the game. Last season, the second highest rebounder in the game. So Kevin Love can go tit for tat with any center in the game. So the question is just who's your other big man? And so, even though Anderson Varejao is an average center, Tristan Thompson is really the producer on that, is another producer on that team, a heavy producer. Plus, they're getting him at a great price. I think he's still under his rookie contract. So, you got to play this guy. It's just too good to miss. The setup is just enough said. Of course, a ton of people are going for the Cavaliers, so I really don't even want to talk about them. I expect them to be in the East Coast Finals, and I expect them to win the whole thing. Okay, or at least have a really good shot at it, because, honestly, in the East, it's them and it's the Bulls. Now, people are talking about Miami, but at this point in the season, Miami really hasn't played anyone. And that's nice that they're going to Bosch now more, because Bosch always was shooting over 50%. So the only thing people were really asking Bosch to do back in the days of the Big Three was just to shoot the ball more. If he shot the ball more with him shooting over 50%, he was going to make more baskets. But he was the third option on that team, behind LeBron James and behind, what's that guy's name? Dwayne Wade. Whatever. So anyway. So now, Bosch is getting paid $24 million, and he's acting like a $24 million player. At least for these first few games that have started the season, he's really bringing in the points. So good for them. But the bottom line is that team is still coached by Eric, whatever his name is. I don't even want to talk about that guy, because last season I saw how he completely tore up the Miami Heat. He had a championship team last season, but as usual, Eric deviated away from using the two big man approach. Bottom line, small forwards are not big men, okay? If your guy is 6'8", he is not considered big in the NBA. When you talk about a big man, that's about 6'10" or above. 6'9" is at the very smallest of a big man. And he better be like heavy set, like a Zach Randolph, if you're considering that one of your big guys. But bottom line, you need to have a power forward out there and a center out there. And I don't understand how people don't understand that. Popovich hammers it into everyone every year in the league. Honestly, at all times, Popovich has got out there. He's at any given time, he's playing Tim Duncan, Thiago Splitter, and Boris Diaw. Now it's Duncan and Boris, or it's Diaw and Splitter, or Splitter and Tim Duncan. But at all times, he's going to have two bigs on the floor. And that's what allows him to dominate in the rebounding. Because basketball, everyone knows the number one statistic in basketball is points scored. But the number two statistic that pretty much decides if your team is a championship team is rebounding. Assists are nice, but an assist just means that you saw an open guy or a guy who's the best scoring option and you got the ball to him. That's good. But with people only shooting, with the best shooters in the league only scoring the ball 50% of the time, whoever dominates and gets the rebounds, whoever picks it up when those guys miss, typically that's going to be the team that wins. A lot of times teams have less turnovers than the other team. They have less fouls. They have less steals than the other team. They have fewer assists than the other team. They have a lower shooting percentage than the other team. But if they have more rebounds, they still keep the game close. I mean, pay attention. It's about the rebounds. And what's Spoelstra? Anyway, Eric Spoelstra. That guy, it's like he never got it. He never got it. Number one, Chris Bosh was never a center. Chris Bosh weighed 235 pounds. And I didn't want, see, man, I didn't even want to get on the Miami Heat of last year. Because, yes, we're so upset about that. All right? LeBron was upset about that. You say what you want to, but nobody leaves a setup like they had in Miami with Pat Riley as your president. Nobody leaves that to go and play for a losing team Cavaliers, except, yeah, that homesick thing, yeah, that's nice and cliche, but bottom line, he played with Kyrie Irving in the All-Star break. LeBron played with Kyrie Irving in the All-Star break, and him and Kyrie Irving and Carmelo Anthony were able to take down everybody in the West. I mean, we're talking about Durant, Love, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, so on and so forth. All those guys got waxed by Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Carmelo Anthony. So LeBron saw the power of Kyrie Irving, and he was the MVP. I mean, I didn't think there was any way the East was going to beat the West in the All-Star game. Tell me if I'm not wrong. Last year's All-Star game. But it happened. So, yeah, is LeBron going to leave Miami Heat with Eric Spoelstra, who doesn't understand the purpose of rebounds, who's so determined to play Norris Cole as his starting point guard? Anyway, woosah! Moving on. So the Cavaliers. Sweet, sweet Cavaliers. The coach is smart. He's playing Tristan Thompson. The team is stacked. Dion Waiters will get you 16 points. Kyrie Irving's going to get you 20 points or more, over 20 points. Not to mention some good assists, about 5-6 good assists, and that's just based off his last year's scores. LeBron James, enough said. Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, Anderson Varejao, the team is stacked. I mean, and I'm not going to even get into the nuances about all those guys that they brought along as their second-tier guys or this and that. Bottom line is they have enough guys to go the distance. They have enough superstars that only 2 superstars need to show up per night, and they should still pretty much win the game against most teams. Okay? So it's looking really good for them. And honestly, since they've already battled the Bulls and put that in check, the East looks to be theirs. Now all they need to do is submit their glue together, get their plays together, get their playing and their timing together, and hopefully we won't have the same thing that we were having with that whole alpha male thing that went down in Miami. I mean, the bottom line is this. These guys, based on their age range, are set up to kind of clock in and clock out as one leaves. I mean, LeBron's the oldest at about 30. Then you have Kevin Love at about, 26? And then you have Kyrie Irving right around like 21, 22. So as LeBron gets older, Kevin Love's going to become the central star. And then as Kevin Love gets older, Kyrie Irving's going to become the central star. The bottom line, and they can just pass through. It can be generational basketball like we've seen with, honestly, like we've seen with what the Spurs are trying to do. How they, recruited, what's that kid's name? Kawhi Leonard, and now you have the second coming of the Spurs, so that even if Tim Duncan, even if Ginobili, even if Tony Parker can't get it done, their next generation coming up look just as good. I mean, honestly, and I know Popovich is going to work those guys. Kawhi already showed that he's in this next generation of Spurs. They need to pay that guy his money and keep him moving, okay? 2, a matter of fact, I'm going to save talking about the Spurs to the next episode, because everybody, you can talk about the Spurs. Bottom line, anyway. Okay, so back on topic. So, Cavaliers, well-built, great coach. I mean, need anything more be said. Honestly, I wanted to get into the Clippers this episode. Man, do I want to get into the Clippers. Doc Rivers! Doc! Come on now! Woo, Doc! Anyway, so I'm not going to get into Doc Rivers and the Clippers at this point. I'll save that for a future episode. And Portland, man, I love them kids, but we got to fix some things. I mean, what was that offseason about? But I understand, I know, got to save money for Damian Lillard because he's coming off his rookie contract. I know, Nicholas Batum does good enough, and as long as LaMarcus Aldridge is happy, we're cool in the gang. We'll talk about Portland next time. Either way it goes. Thanks for coming to Tony's Topics. Hope to see you again.